I mean, we have all of these peaks and valleys that we have to understand are normal in our lives. So if we just take them and move them to where we are with speaking, it's the same exact thing. It's life. We go, we go, we go, we grow to a peak, and it's very exciting. And then there's the denouement, and we come down, and then we're at the bottom of another pinnacle to climb again. And that's the way we have to be preparing our presentations.
I think a lot of people don't feel comfortable starting all over again. And it can be really challenging to, you're the smartest, the best, and you know it all. And then now you know nothing. And then you know nothing. And I think a lot of people have a problem with that. And they get frustrated when they start to try and speak or do different things that we're talking about in these training courses, that because they were so used to being the best at something or at the top of something, and now they've started and maybe they're not at the best point and they're starting all over, and it can seem overwhelming, right?
But of course, when you're starting, you're not going to be your best. Of course, it's brand new stuff.
But some people are like salespeople. We're talking about competition before. They're super competitive and they're used to being at the top and the best, and you know what I mean? And now suddenly they have to start all over again. And that can be frustrating for a lot of people, I think.
I feel very sorry for those people who think that they have to be the top dog all the time. The burden on that is so difficult to maintain. It is so stress inducing. It is so difficult. How do people do that? I don't know.
I don't know that it's only that. I think there's people who think they have to be the best, but I think some other people are just so hard on themselves that they don't think they have to be the best, but they think everybody else is so great. And then they compare themselves to other people. And that's another trap, I think, the speakers.
That's a whole other dysfunction, because you can never compare yourself to somebody else. You can compare yourself. If you're interested in comparisons, compare yourself to how you were earlier.
Right.
And then take that and say, wow, I've grown so much. I've learned so much more. So, I mean, that's the only one you can compare yourself to.
Yeah, I think all the Hall of Fame speakers I've interviewed, all of them say that they gave about 100 free talks when they first started, and they were awful. They bombed. They did all kinds of terrible things. And, you have to think that most of these really good speakers give the same speech over and over and over. And so it's not like they have to keep learning a bunch of different speeches and remembering them. You see the same people, they'll do them for years. I mean, because they're different crowds that they're talking to, and their topic might be evergreen.
But then if the content is the same year after year after year, the invigoration comes from knowing your audience, because you did that audience analysis sheet, and you know the audience, and you know who they are and what they will react to in advance. Then you change the way in which you're presenting this material. Perhaps different anecdotes, different examples, different stories, different jokes, different whatever you have chosen. But you adapt to the audience, because if you are speaking one language and they are speaking another, you're not going to get anywhere.
I was at a meeting with a very famous author, and it was he had a top book for his day, and he's in his late 80s now, and he was giving us a free mentoring session, and a lot of the tools were things from the 80s, and they were no longer relevant. And it's still an honor to hear from him and learn from him. But it was like, keep notes in, like a notebook, or, it was something that you just wouldn't do these days. You might keep it on your iPad, but just the terminology used, you could tell it wasn't changed or updated at all in all the years. And I think that's a trap for people who speak a lot, to recognize that maybe value proposition or employee experience is a huge word or phrase this year, but then maybe next year it may be called something else. Or you might have some evergreen content, but not all of it is going to be evergreen, and it'll become very clear that you're not up to date. And that's something I think is really critical for a speaker to listen to people in that space, to hear the buzzwords and to learn as much as you can about what they're talking about. Because some of the best speakers I've listened to when I was in pharmaceutical sales, Larry Miller came and spoke at our meeting once, and he was just hilarious because he took in all the people, CEOs' names and made fun of them, or he would take in, all your competitors' products names and make fun of them, or what, whatever. When you do that, it gets people,
But it touches them because they know that you have devised this speech
Yeah.
specifically for them,
Mm-hmm.
and they can appreciate that that you have gone out of your way to prepare for them. I'll give you an example. I was doing sales training with two other guys, and we were the team, and we were doing sales training for a very well-known magazine. And we went across the country, first in New York, then in California, then in Chicago, and then to California. And when we got back to New York, actually we started out in California, but when we got back to New York, I said to the guys, what is everybody wearing? It was a retreat. I said, what is everybody wearing? And these two guys I was working with didn't have a clue about what I was really asking, because I was the female, they were the male.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what is everybody? Oh, just, casual, but you have to dress up really well because you're representing how to communicate more effectively to affect their pocketbooks. So I said, okay, fine. So I packed, luckily, a pair of pants, and I took with me a suit in pearls.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that was ridiculous. In pearls, sure. I got there, and they are all dressed in shorts, retreat style, okay? We were at this humongous upstate New York estate, the Harriman estate. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked and felt like Lady Astor's pet horse. So I said to the art director, where are you having dinner tonight? And he said, well, we're going to have this fabulous spread. I said, you're taking me shopping. Mm-hmm. He was the only one with the car. I said, you're taking me shopping. And he did. And I ended up wearing things that were maybe not shorts, because I had to have some decorum about me as the presenter, but I wore the pants that I had brought and a sweater and something much more casual. And it made a big difference in the way the people received my information.